winning a Super Bowl in another year. Dan, let me ask you this question.
I said not right now. I said
not right now. Another year. Another year. I give them another year before we light the match. Dan, let me ask you this. Which team should the Kansas City Chiefs be, I don't want to say afraid of or scared of, look out for in the AFC?
The Raiders. If I'm the Chiefs and I'm looking ahead to the playoffs, which I'm sure they'll tell you they're not, I want somebody else to take out the Raiders. I don't want to have to do that again. They beat me once. They came within a minute of beating me again. They look like they're absolutely not scared. Talk about scared. The Raiders are not scared of the Chiefs. They believe they can beat them. They believe they should beat them. They believe they're built to beat them. So head-to-head in the postseason, if I'm the Chiefs and I'm looking at the AFC playoff field, yes, Pittsburgh's undefeated, and at this point you would have to go there, and they would have had the bye. That makes them a favorite, certainly. But in terms of teams that I feel comfortable trying to beat to win a playoff game, the Raiders are the thorn in the Chiefs' side right now, and I would hope, if I'm the Chiefs, that somebody else takes them out or keeps them out of the playoffs entirely so I don't have to try and do it again.
It's really amazing to think that a 6-4 team could end up being Patrick Mahomes' kryptonite, and his mention of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dan, the fourth team with an unbeaten record entering Thanksgiving game, incredible, in the last 80 years. Fourth team with an unbeaten record heading to Thanksgiving against a wounded Ravens squad. We'll get ready for a triple header on Turkey Day. Dan, thank you very much.
You got it, guys.
All right, Dan.
One quick thing before we talk more about Joe Burrow, who has obviously become a very big story here as the injury diagnosis has become more firm. I'll get into that in a second. Did you hear what Dan said about the dead cap hit? Right now, the NFL salary cap is right around $200 million. It's $198.2 million. This is important to note. Dead money does not count against your cap, right? It's still on the books, it just doesn't count for your cap, right? So if he's saying your dead money hit on Carson Wentz could be $50 million, it could be $40 million, depending on when they decide to cut him, if that ever were to happen, that would be a full 25% of the cap. Again, that money does not count against the cap, but just think about that amount of money. That's a staggering amount of money, particularly when you put
it counts against the cap.
Oh, did I misspeak? Sorry.
Yes, it counts against the cap.
I misspoke, sorry.
No, it counts against the cap.
25%. That's basically 25%.
That makes me sick.
And that's why I always tell you and Jay, like, you can't, it's follow the breadcrumbs, right? You can't just all of a sudden cut bait because that money accelerates. And what money do they have left? So when you talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, they don't really have anything left. They got peanuts. So they could absorb that salary cap hit. But when you got a guy like Carson Wentz, because of the way they structured the contract, it's hard to get rid of. It's just like Aaron Rodgers. Like when they drafted Jordan Love, everybody kept saying, oh, I'm like, dude, he's not going anywhere. The only thing they're going to do is restructure his deal, give him some new money, and extend his contract because they can't do anything with him for the next 3 years.
Indeed. And, Jay, before we let you in here, I just want to mention, let me just mention after I misspoke, apologize. Thank you, Keith, for catching me on that one word I did not include. And that is essentially 25% of your cap is out. Like 25% of your cap is out, right?
Pac-Man, chomp.
Right. Going 1980s video games. Chomp all the way. Now you're dealing with just 75% of your cap, with that 25% being owed to one player for your cap that is no longer on your roster. That would be a devastating blow for Howie Roseman and the Eagles front office, Jay.
Zubin, all I got to say is key. I look forward to every Sunday when Doug Peterson has to step up to that post presser and just continue to answer questions about Carson Wentz. That's going to be my entertainment and my little mid-game portion of Sundays. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, that's why when you make decisions to pay guys early, you got to be sure. You got to be 100% sure that this was the guy, right? I mean, he's coming off a leg injury. He did help lead you to the Super Bowl. He put him in position. Nick Foles took over, ultimately go and win the Super Bowl. Then you give him an extension as if he was the one that actually played in the Super Bowl game and won the game. And so it was okay to kind of wait. Just wait a little bit. Let's see what the injury looks like. Let's see what he looks like. Kind of just wait. You don't need to do it. This is why owners and general managers have protections in place to be able to see it through. Lamar Jackson, perfect example and situation. I can do Lamar right now. Right? But I also can wait because I'm not sure. Patrick Mahomes? Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Not a problem. What do you want? Here's a blank check. No big deal. Deshaun Watson, I'm sure. What do you want? But there's certain guys that you're like, if I pay him, even a Jared Goff situation, I did not have to pay Jared Goff immediately. Now, he's been okay. But I could have waited to pay Jared Goff.
Indeed. And Jay mentioned Doug Peterson at the podium. What's he going to say after every loss on a Sunday? Well, he was at the podium yesterday and got the most predictable question you might imagine.
Jalen Hurts played one offensive snap. Regardless of the way Carson is playing, why isn't Hurts on the field more? And is this the type of workload and usage we should expect going forward?
No, I think I could get him in the game a little bit more.
What do you make of that?
I was waiting for him to keep going. Is that it?
Was that Bill Belichick or Doug Peterson? No, that was Doug Peterson, apparently.
I'm like, I'm dialed in, waiting for him to say something. Well,
But you see, Key, this is going to happen every single time, though, Key. Like, and I feel you on Follow the Money. Like, you make more and more sense every time I hear you talk about this as it relates to Carson Wentz. I get that. But from the practical fan perspective, right, you're sitting there saying, okay, the NFC East is horrible. I don't know how the hell we're still in this position. But if Carson is playing this way, if our goal is to win, isn't that the reason why we drafted Jalen Hurts? Didn't we draft him because we thought he could be somebody that could give us more opportunities if Carson was not playing at his best? So wouldn't you see it as, if we're talking about a Taysom Hill and Drew Brees situation, can't we get him more involved in the offense to see if he actually has a potential that could take us to the next level offensively instead of just, I guess we can get him some more snaps?
Well, the Drew Brees situation is a little different because Taysom Hill was coming in replacing Drew Brees in games, running a couple little trick plays here and there. He wasn't taking the snaps underneath center, throwing the ball all over the lot like he did the other night when they won the football game on Sunday night. It was a little bit different. But when you look at it for what it's worth, you got to follow the money. They're not going to all of a sudden. Okay, here, Jay, you got to explain to me. I'm the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles. You're the general manager, the president of the team. Now you got to explain to me why in the hell you gave that dude $100 million and you asking me to sign off on benching him to pay a dude that has no playing experience at quarterback that we drafted in the second round when you convinced me to pay the other guy a year and a half ago $100 million. You got to explain that to me. Do you want to bring that to me? Do you really want to walk into my office and say, hey, Key, I want to play the other guy, even though I just gave him $100 million and he's going to cost us $50 million if we do anything? You really want to explain that to the owner?
I know, Key. I guess I want to live in a reasonable world where there's an admission of guilt, but in the world that we live in, it's not reasonable. That will never happen because my back is against the wall and I want to keep my damn job. I'm never doing that.
What professional executive have you ever, professional executive, whether it's in sports or this business that we're in, ever admitted to they made a mistake? You're never going to hear, oh, we probably shouldn't have done that. That was a bad deal. They're never.